Anjali, we are living in very strange times. Of course, we talk about diversity, we talk about inclusion, we talk about LGBT inclusion, we talk about all kinds of inclusion. When it comes to social media, we're inundated with it today. Even people you hiring, they have an account in social media. Now there are trolling elements, there are a lot of elements which are disrespectful. In this environment, how do you manage hirings? I mean, do you consider social media profiles of your candidates? What kind of posts do they post? Are they hateful? Are they resentful? Do they respect diversity? Can social media policy play an important part in it?
We have a social media policy once you join the organization, but you're telling me if I check people's social media before joining, the answer is no.
Okay.
Unless the person is a sort of influencer, whether it's on Twitter or in YouTube or Instagram, because influencer, like you need have more than 4,000 or 5,000 followers, become influencer, and then they have to talk about it and they have to put it in the paper, the influencers, and then we check the accounts. Two reasons: one is from a code of conduct, and secondly, what sort of influencer and how he's likely to, is he or she likely, or are they likely to be respectful to people? Yes, if you're an influencer, and today a lot of youngsters have a whole lot of followers, so
Correct.
we do check the accounts, but otherwise we don't. However, once you join the organization, we have a very, very good social media policy which allows you your personal space, but at the same time, we ask you to be respectful to people and to organizations and to everybody around you in general, and to society in general, and that's what we ask for.
So I think at Amazon, we look for a cultural fit, right? We look for a functional fit and we look for a cultural fit. At Amazon, we have 16 leadership principles that create our culture. And when we are looking to hire candidates, we look at their functional fitment. We also look at their cultural fitment. And we look at candidates who are raising the bar. We obviously can and explore candidates' profile on their social media as well. And we are a data-driven organization, so any data that comes, that's helpful.
I think that's a very difficult yes and no question. So let me just put my perspectives on both why it could be done and what could be the impact of that, both positive and negative. I think when D&I is spoken about, and we've seen even in a lot of cases, specific here when we've spoken about the LGBTI community, and a lot of comments that come across is very anti LGBTI community, and there's a massive data box sitting there and a data lake which can be looked at, a person's history could be looked at, and really adjudge whether they fit into the cultural ambit of a company or not. But when you do that, you get into the safe space of a person, and the person who's actually amassing the data and actually doing the analysis and whatsoever machines you might talk about, if it's AI or something, there's a human coding that, right? So in any way, if I am biased and I'm coding, I will have my biases sit into the system of even formulating the AI algorithm. So I would think that while it gives insights, it should be taken with a pinch of salt as well, because in a lot of cases, a person goes through different moments in life, right? I might be in a journey of my life where I have just gotten married and I'm just not liking the in-laws setup, right? And I might write something on Facebook about it. But if that is the basis of a company feeling, oh, she's not really going to be a cultural fit, then it becomes very difficult, because really the companies don't know what phase of life I am in. But I would think LinkedIn is a great space. Everybody knows that it is for posting professional issues. At least that could be definitely looked at. But other social media platforms, it has its positives and negatives.
Sure. Now, in countries like Brazil, which on the lines of India are also one of the most emerging economies of the world, their stock exchange is launching something called Prime Stock Exchange, where they're including companies which have got good corporate governance. Of course, bottom lines need to be strong. Apart from that, they have good CSR budgets. They lay special emphasis on green energy, sustainability. Diversity and inclusion is also a part of it.
Absolutely.
Now, NSE on those lines is also adopting something similar for India. Do you think in a country like India, where employability is a bigger problem than diversity, 80% engineers were unemployable some years ago, same was the figure for the MBAs. Do you think that diversity being thrusted on the corporates is the right approach? Is the right, rather than approach, I should say timing. Is this the right time for it?
Focusing on balance sheet is very single dimension. So looking at environment, sustainability, green, being a green country and diversity, I think is really balanced approach. So I think NSE is really working towards a balanced approach of looking at organizations. So that's definitely welcome in my
It's
view.
a balanced approach and welcome stack.
India is in different maturity levels across the board in different areas, even in the entire employability phase. And I agree with you that our major issue is employability. But if we don't start rewarding companies now, the others might not come in. I personally believe that we have to look at a multi-hatted perspective, try and really address each and every issue in its own way. One focus is employability, but the other focus is also somebody who's ahead of the curve and they need to be rewarded. I personally feel that I personally feel this is the time when we can start doing that.
Corporations like yours, they tie up with institutions, education institutions, training institutions. Should diversity be encouraged in alliances like such? I mean, should there be a direct screening? Because we need to cut the chase and start making some tangible changes rather than just talking on big stages that diversity honi chahiye. Of course honi chahiye, but when it comes to implementation and execution, do you think this policy of alliance creation and diversity inclusion will help?
I think yes, and we at Amazon work on various initiatives, right at the college level, to ensure that especially girls pick up STEM careers, right? And that includes some of the trainings that we work with some of these institutions. We have also partnered with third-party agencies like Aspire for Her, where we drive an initiative called She Dares, where we look at training some of the non-tech women into tech with cloud skills that they can explore and get into the tech world. So external agencies, partnerships in building our long-term, in a way, funnel for hiring, not just for AWS alone, but for the industry at large. I think it's definitely a very good thing to do.
I would like to have the question differently. We should not even look at the college level. Diversity and inclusion as a topic, we shouldn't have to talk about it. And the day when we'll stop talking about it, that is when it's in our DNA. And that should happen at a school level, at a kindergarten level, right? Because by the time we are in colleges, we already have so much biases in our own minds, right? I would say companies, academia, and also a lot of the educational institutes grassroots level could come together and look at languages which are more inclusive, try and ensure that our entire systemic discrimination that happens, and it's not only to do with gender or something specific, only one angle of, I would say, D&I, it's all pervasive, right?
Sure.
We have to look at each and every angle, and that would be an ideal case scenario if you're able to make those changes right at the time when people start making these biases part of their system.
Addressing the problem at the root.
Yeah.